Please, the floor to Pat, Sister Pat.
Good morning, everybody. Morning. My name is Sister Patricia Murray, what I'm usually called Sister Pat. I'm a member of the Institute of the Blessed Virgin Mary. We're also known as Loretto Sisters, and I'm from Ireland. And I serve as the Executive Secretary of the International Union for Superiors General. And really, I'm very emotional here this morning when I look at all of you at this first International Congress of Talitha Kum. And the reason is that I came to Rome in December 1998. So I'm a long time here in different capacities. I came as a member of the General Council of my particular congregation. And I came just as a conference had been held here in Rome, where Sister Leah Ackerman, who's a member of the Missionary Sisters of Our Lady of Africa, who works in the field of anti-trafficking in Germany, had given a major talk here in Rome in, I think, November 1998. And the impact of that talk was so great that a small group, mainly of sisters, gathered and formed an anti-trafficking working group. And that was the first, if you like, visible sign here in Rome of the work that has expanded throughout the world, and you are here as a result. You know the way I think we've heard that often change begins with a single conversation. When you have a conversation with somebody and together you decide to do something about something. And I think we see the fruits of the work of many conversations and many women, too many to mention. But you're among them, and those who are joining us online are among them. And we are a powerful force for good in the world today, sisters. We are truly a global sisterhood. And I suppose that's what I want to reflect with you briefly this morning on what has been happening within religious life in the church and the world. During these past 5 to 6 years, the executive boards of the International Union of Superiors General have put enormous emphasis on giving visibility and voice to the work of sisters worldwide. We work away. We often don't speak out, we don't publicize, or we haven't due to our humility. But I think there's another way of living humility. Humility is truth. And I think we have to tell the truth of what we are doing and with whom we are doing it, for the sake of those who are most vulnerable in our world today. So raise your voice wherever you are. Speak out and stress the value of collaborating together. It's collaborating together as congregations, across congregations, with our different charisms, our different gifts, our different insights that our founders had into the value of the spiritual treasure that is the gospel. But our commitment to justice and peace, and that's where, if you like, our commitment in this whole area of anti-trafficking is rooted. We want to bring about that fullness of a life for each person and for all, no matter where we find struggle or difficulty, or we see the margins in today's world. We're not limiting ourselves to just welcoming and accompanying and preventing human trafficking, but we're responding to the call of Pope Francis to understand the root causes and the need that we have to work together to transform society. And we're doing that at so many different levels, at grassroots level, at national level, at regional level, and at international level. So we bring our voices at different levels. We bring our work, we bring our reflection, we bring our prayer. So we are growing in our capacity to collaborate. And this collaboration is for the sake of the victims, for the sake of those who are left on the margins and discarded. And we're looking to new forms of collaboration, especially in terms of in different interreligious contexts. And you'll have heard about that, and we'll share about it during this week. Talitha Kum is an integral part of the International Union of Superiors General. It's a project that responds to a decision that was taken in the early 2000s at one of the assemblies of the Superiors General of the world. And we, as the networks of Talitha Kum, we're responsible, and in a sense we owe accountability to the superiors, to the leaders of our congregations who have missioned us into this work. The leaders of the congregations themselves at each assembly affirm the work of Talitha Kum. And in a sense, using the principle of subsidiarity, you, on behalf of your congregations, but also on behalf of the networks of congregations, are acting on behalf of the leaders of the church. Our networks are critical and crucial, whether they're networks at local level or at national level or at international level. Building this collaboration and this accountability to one another, where we can support, encourage, and find ways of helping and stretching ourselves to meet the needs. So it's important that we build this ownership at every level of our religious congregations and across our congregations. And this promotes our ongoing dialogue, our ongoing sharing, our ongoing research, but also our ongoing reflection and prayer. What more can we do? We keep asking ourselves. What more can we do? To whom do we have to reach out? Recently, attending another conference, I was on my way back from Africa to Rome. And in the airport of that particular country, I saw tens of young women who were on their way to work as domestic servants in another part of the world. And I said to myself, do these young women know where they're going? Do they know what might happen to them? How well have they been prepared? And I began to talk to them. And I realized the abject ignorance that they had of where they were going. In order, sent often by their families, but in order out of poverty to make money to send home. So we know, and you've mentioned the many vulnerabilities this morning, and this is what we must tackle. The vulnerabilities that exist in all our societies and in our different parts of the world. Because the collaborative work among us, and that collaboration really comes from the call of Pope Francis, who said to us very clearly during the year of consecrated life, he said to leave the confines of our own religious congregations and to collaborate together. Because in our mutual sharing and collaboration, we can do much more. So the basic nucleus of Talitha Kum is the work that's done at the grassroots. But that grassroots work has to connect at the national level and to the international level if we are to make a difference. You know that, and I know that. And we need to raise our voices. We need to advocate. We need to lobby. We need to bring the cases, the personal cases we've met. We've also to bring the research that we've done, the data that we've collected, to bring that to governments and to appeal for change. Look at what the young people in the world today are doing with regard to climate change. Look at how powerful networks are in our world today. And we are one of those growing networks with a cutting edge to really make a difference in our world today. We need to share the leadership that we have in this whole area. One of the things that I believe that we as religious have to offer is that we support each other in entering into leadership teams or taking responsibility for different areas. And this is one of the areas, I think, in our work as Talitha Kum, that we really grow in our leadership capacity and that we draw others into leadership. Because this is an area that needs all sorts of leaders. And leaders aren't only those who are appointed. In fact, I often feel informal leadership, where somebody has a gift or an insight or an ability that's nurtured, that's what makes a difference in our world today. We don't have to wait to have leadership conferred on us. We have to step into leadership. And that's in a sense at the heart of the call of the gospel. When you hear Jesus saying that they may have life and life in abundance, if the other is to have life, then I have to step in and step out in order to bring life and give life. And above all, this area of human beings being trafficked is an area where we need to save life, but then nurture life, extend life, and sustain life. UISG and Talitha Kum are like sisters, mother and daughter. Talitha Kum doesn't have a legal identity. Its legal identity is in the International Union of Superiors General. And the UISG sustains and nourishes, supports and treasures Talitha Kum as one of its most important initiatives, programs or projects. The executive board of UISG has established an international committee to, in a sense, to guide our worldwide work as Talitha Kum networks under the leadership of Sister Gabriella Bottani. But every 3 years, the leadership of UISG itself, its executive board changes. And therefore, every 3 years, the coordinating team or the members of the coordinating team of Talitha Kum will be reviewed, and also with suggestions from the networks and from conferences of religious, the new team will be appointed. And that's a point I just want to emphasize. We see that the link between the local network and the conference of religious as being especially important. Because that's where leaders and those of you working at the grassroots are in constant and can be in constant dialogue and reflection. And it also means that the network of Talitha Kum is well founded in your country when it's linked with the National Conference of Religious. It can be supported and nourished in an ongoing way. Recently, I've been reflecting on some different images of religious life in the world today. And I just want to offer one of those images to you this morning as you move through today and the remaining days. And I was reflecting on that lovely phrase in the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 2, where Isaiah says, "Widen the tent of your heart." Now, the way it's said in the passage is, it says, "Enlarge the place of your tent. Stretch your tent curtains wide. Do not hold back. Lengthen your cords, strengthen your stakes." I'll repeat that. It's a beautiful, beautiful line from Isaiah. Enlarge the place of your tent. Stretch your tent curtains wide. Do not hold back. Lengthen your cords and strengthen your stakes. And I believe that's a wonderful image for the work you do as Talitha Kum today, because it speaks of flexibility, enlargement, unbounded hospitality, rootedness, security, and identity. So I believe in stretching wide our tent curtains. We have to ask ourselves, what more can we do? Or what can we do at a deeper level? What do we need to focus on? What do you need to focus on in your particular network? And then ask yourself to have a secure identity, to put the stakes, the stake of the tent must be strong to hold the tent in place. And I think the stakes that we have to hold strong to are the stakes of faith and hope. So we have to ask ourselves, we who are making space for those who are most vulnerable, for those who are at the margins of life, have to ask ourselves again and again, are we really grounded? Is our work grounded in Jesus? Have we embraced the vision and the values of our founders and foundresses? Because in a way, it's in answer to their call, to their vision, that we're responding today. How are you stretching your charism today in this whole field of anti-trafficking? What more can our congregations do today? And then the stake of hope. Looking at our hope, Pope Benedict reminded us that in biblical terms, hope is equivalent to faith. But he believed that hope must be expressed in concrete actions and in our lifestyle. For Benedict, the practice of hope was very important. But we must ask God again and again to enter the various situations that we're working in and to bring hope, and to bring hope through us. Because the people who have no hope perish. And we have to reframe the harsh realities of trafficking in our world today and reframe it and give it a hopeful future. And it is a challenging task. And Pope Francis has spoken much about hope. Recently, to the members of a general chapter gathered here in Rome, he said, "I encourage you to be prophets of hope, with eyes turned to the future where the Spirit pushes you to continue to do great things. As consecrated persons, he said, we know that we cannot be deaf to the questions that are asked of us today. Like all disciples of Jesus, we know that hope is for us a responsibility because we have been called to hope to whomsoever asks its reason. So the hope that does not disappoint is not based on numbers, but it's based on him in whom we believe. So I just want to finish by encouraging you. I'm so grateful, and the International Union of Superiors General is so grateful to each and every one of you here in this room or listening through live streaming. We're grateful for every effort made by each person and each network to combat human trafficking. We know that this is a call to us as we answer the call to go to the margins and the frontiers of our world. We know this is where we should be. I want to thank you for all those multitude of small efforts, all those mustard seed responses that you've made that nobody will ever know or perhaps ever see. For all those conversations of hope and faith that you have held with those who have been victims. For all those who themselves as victims in the past now give hope to others and speak out forcefully. We are, in a sense, disciples of hope, knowing that we can break through wherever there is despair and discouragement and bring life and light and a new future. Pope Francis says to us, only hope enables us to walk the road of life. Only hope makes us capable of the future. Sisters and brothers who join with us, let us make a future filled with hope by joining together, by collaborating, by creating a worldwide network, a network of tenderness, a network of compassion, and a network of grace. We ask Jesus, who accompanies us every step of the way, to nourish us as we reach out, one beside another, to rid our world of the scourge of human trafficking. This is my prayer this morning, through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you very much. We're all in this together.
Thank you very much, Pat, for that inspiring reflection that you have given us this morning. I think the clapping and the standing up says it all. If I were to add anything, it will only be spoiling what you've said. And like what Pat has given us is so deep. I would like us just to take a few minutes before we go for our break, like 5 minutes. It will be a pity if we just stood and went like that. Just to take 5 minutes and try to apply that contemplative listening that we had. with a bit of music just at the background for 5 minutes to try and digest what Pat has just shared with us. Thank you. So we will go for break, and after break, we will have Sister Gabriela. Thank you very much. Please request during the speech of Gabriela, or when people are talking here, we request that you don't video them because the light on their eyes are affecting them, and everything is being videoed and everything will be sent to you. So don't worry about taking photos and taking videos and all that. Everything will be available online. Okay.
En español, por favor.
So before the break, we have listened to the words of Sister Pat Mary, Executive Secretary of the UISG. And one of the comments I have heard during the break about what she has said, it's as being like a blow of fresh air, of oxygen. Because her words put us in touch in the deep, mystic meaning and value of our mission. Although she's not here, she left, we are truly very grateful to Sister Pat. And so let's continue with this contemplative listening. Now that we're going to listen to the words of Sister Gabriela Bottani, she's the coordinator of Talitha Kum International. The floor is yours.
Thank you. In English. It's really an honor to speak after the beautiful framework and introduction of Sister Pat. And now we move to how we put in practice the statement and the spirituality, the strategic plan of the UISG into Talitha Kum. It's very important. If not, we can remain like the politicians, that they do beautiful laws and they do not implement it. So what you are trying now to do is to go back to praxis and always say, when I arrived here in Rome, I was accountable to my congregation. Now I am accountable to 2,000 General Superior and to you all, member of the network. And this is what I'm trying to do, to share with you how, not alone, but with the support of every one of you, in a special way, the International Coordination Committee and the sisters in charge for each network around the world, we try to implement. First of all, the period I will try to focus is 2016 to today. Because 2016, because we have a beautiful International Coordination Committee meeting, where and when we set the priority for the period 16 to 18. First of all, we were able to define better our identity. Sister Pat still spoke about that. I would like only to remember you. And we are a sister-led networks project with headquarters in Rome, founded in 2009 under the responsibility of the UISG. We try to improve the collaboration with the Union of Superiors General, with the male religious congregations, and more at local level, also religious men are involved and laity. Working as a network facilitates collaboration and the interchange of information between consecrated people. I do not take a lot of time to read the vision that it's on our website and we shared, and also yesterday night it was quoted by the US ambassador to the Holy See at our gathering. The Talitha Kum mission is to end human trafficking through collaborative initiatives focused around prevention, protection, social reintegration, and rehabilitation of survivors, partnership and advocacy, promoting actions that affect systemic causes. This is very important for us. Also, Sister Pat said it, and the Church and Pope Francis, his magisterium, is asking us to work in order to tackle the root causes, the systemic causes that are driven to trafficking. We have an international coordination offices in Rome that I was appointed to lead since 2015. And I have a secretarial assistant part-time. And then I have a great support by the UISG personnel and the communication, administration, grant management, communication office, I wrote that twice, sorry. Technical support, general services. So I would like to invite you to say thank you for all these people that work very hard also to organize this. Often later in the night or early in the morning to clean up the spaces that we do not see, but there is a huge work to be done. The Talitha Kum International Coordination Committee was a request we have done to the UISG in 2016, and after 1 year, we were able to start in 2017. So we had the first International Coordination Committee. I had the opportunity to thank them at the beginning of our assembly. And for me, it was, and it is, a very important group to maintain Talitha Kum enrooted in the global world, but also in the grassroots work. Because as I said, I'm serving you, but I'm no more able to serve directly survivor as I have done before in Brazil. So it is very important to have you in sharing with me, and that I can listen from you how is the best way to implement Talitha Kum priorities. We have several partners at international, at global level, the Vatican dicasteries, mainly the section migrants and refugees that today afternoon will be with us, the embassies to the Holy See, and yesterday we had an experience of that, the pontifical universities, mainly with the Gregoriana and Antonianum. We are more and more improving collaboration to qualify also the formation that Talitha Kum is promoting around the world. Then with the international organization like Caritas Internationalis and the World Union of Catholic Women Associations, foundations. There is a huge and long list of foundations. Some are stronger committed with us. I take the opportunity to say that we have also one among us representing the Conrad Hilton Fund for Sisters, Sister Gina, and tomorrow she will have also a time to share with us. And then the Santa Marta Group and the ICMC, this is International Committee for Migration of the Catholic Church. This is only one of the organizations, and many of them are also partnering with individual congregations, but we are trying also to have an official representative as UISG. When I arrived, one of the first things I have done, it was to send to everybody a questionnaire, because I didn't know. I was in charge for Talitha Kum, but I said, who is Talitha Kum? I didn't know who were the sisters, the networks. So we collected some information, and in 2018, we were able also, with the support of the Pontifical University Gregoriana, and this information you can find again in this book, we realized that there was an increasing of Talitha Kum networks organized at national level. When we started to work with the Pontifical University Gregoriana, they realized that we are a really complex organizations. And they said, we need a basic, a starting point. So which is the starting point to think Talitha Kum? So we realized that the starting point is really the coordination we are able to set and together at national level. And then of course we coordinate at local, at regional, and so on. But it was important also to collect data and information and to compare the data. If not, it will be very difficult to do that. So we realized that the number of the networks increased from 31 to 44. So a huge work. Not necessarily we had a growing of the countries, because let me take the example of Southeast Asia. We had Talitha Kum Southeast Asia with a strong presence in Indonesia and in Thailand, and a starting work in many other countries in the region. So what they were able to do, it was to spread out the idea of the network and to organize the Talitha Kum networks in quite every country of the region. Do you recognize Sister Carla? Yeah, yes, she say, yes. Also in Latin America, in Central America, it happened the same. When we speak about our identity, the less the best, I think. We are under the leadership of women in the church, women religious. And I think that it is important to strengthen. We speak a lot about leadership. We as women, we have to start to empower one each other and to recognize the leadership of the women on the church, in the church. Then we are differently organized. So we do not have a model to reproduce, because every network will find their own best way to organize themselves according to the local reality. We are inter-congregational. So we always say only one congregation cannot become but we have our beautiful network. That's okay, great, but we are inter-congregational at local level, and we are committed on the ground against human trafficking. We are working also in advocacy, but the first main important, we are grassroots. Another statistic information, the relationship between national network and the countries of presence per continent. It's not a judgment, it's only a presentation of the data and the information to give you an idea how our networks are organized. We have in Africa 9 networks in 14 countries. The 64% of the country has a national network. Latin America, 13 networks in 15 countries. 100% in North America. Mexico is Latin America. So North America, US and Canada, we have 2 networks in 2 countries. In Asia, 11 countries and networks in 18 countries. In Europe, we have 7 networks in 41 countries. Also in Oceania, we have 2 networks in 2 countries. So we were able to register the presence in 92 countries. We are organized in 44 networks at national level. We have 8 networks at regional continental level. We have 3 continental coordination teams, 1 in the Americas, 1 in Asia, and 1 in Oceania. I consider Europe like a continental network as Renate. And then we have a global coordination team that it is the Talitha Kum office. This is to give you an idea how we are organized in the world. We were able to reach out in 2018, 50,500 survivors for services, different services, and in prevention activity, 235,000 people. What we have done then, now I try to see what Talitha Kum Rome. So I'm speaking now, I'm reporting you what Talitha Kum International Rome has done. So we had a training in Ghana, in Cameroon, workshops in Thailand, Malawi, South Africa, Burkina Faso. And then there was a work of networking at different levels in connection with Talitha Kum Rome, with Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Uganda, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa, Malawi, Burkina Faso, Niger, Ghana, and Cameroon. In Asia, I was there for a workshop in Thailand and one in the Philippines, and then in Lebanon for the creation of the network Yanabia El Amal. The networking in Asia was mostly organized by Sister Adelina Bamo. She's the referent for Talitha Kum in Asia, and they worked strong to reorganize the regions. So we had a global South and Southeast, East and Southeast Asia. Now they are organizing because they are increasing also the network in East Asia, South Asia, and Southeast Asia. In South Asia, there is also a process of organization. In India had a strong growing, but now we are trying to think how to support also the growing in other countries like Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Nepal, and Bangladesh, that since the very beginning we are part of AMRAT, but for several reasons we were not able to strengthen and to implement them. We had the new entry of the Middle East with the project Yanabia El Amal and the creation of the network in July under the responsibility of the Union of Major Superior of Lebanon. And also the very last network born in Talitha Kum was at the end of August, and it is Talitha Kum, Taiwan. So Asia is very active. Sometimes I love this because I didn't do anything, so it is beautiful. I received only some exchange of paper, and then after a while you receive an official letter by the Conference of Religions. We are glad to inform you. I say, this is amazing. In Oceania, Sister Colleen Jackson, our representative there, is trying to expand the networking through training on the Pacific Islands. And this is a very interesting work done. Latin and North America, they decided in 2016 to strengthen connection and networking around the hemisphere, the continent Americas. And they worked on that and realized the first hemispheric coordination committee meeting in 2018. The work also in Europe is continuing under the direction of Renate, which president is also member of the Talitha Kum International Coordination Committee, Sister Imelda. Sister Pat played a very important role also in dialogue with the UK Conference of Religious to establish there the network. We continue the good collaboration with the Italian network of Major Superior, the Italian Network Against Human Trafficking of UISG, whom we are increasingly also collaborating here in Rome. And then also the connection with CAVITP was quite significant in this period also because I speak Portuguese, so it makes this easier. The major activities of the Talitha Kum networks, always according to the research done by the university, the Gregorian University, first of all, is prevention. Now I'm speaking globally. Every continent you saw has a different priority, but globally we are working more in prevention, followed by protection, networking and partnership. And it was amazing to see, like in 2015, mostly of the network we are networking among us, among religious sisters. But now in 2018, we are networking outside ad extra. So there is really, we can see a growing of our capacity. So we strengthen, first of all, the connection among us, and now we are connecting and creating networks outside. Prosecution and advocacy. That's interesting because it was the only point, advocacy, you know, statistic, we have to see, but not to believe in statistic. But it was interesting for me to observe that the only area we decreased, it was advocacy. This is, I think, important to share with you. If we compare the activity per continent in 2015 and 2018, we see, of course, that we increased our capacity of activity, but at the same time, we expand the services we are able to offer. I think that we have to say, this is a great result. Do you think? So, well done, sisters. And again, not everybody was able to answer to this questionnaire, but it's giving us how important it is also to collect data to show the real face and the activity that we are doing around the world. We set some priorities. The first one in 2016. So the first one was networking. to promote the cooperation and the connection between religious congregations, facilitating networking at the regional and continental level in collaboration with other governmental and non-governmental organizations. Most important, it was a gathering, meeting, email exchange, newsletter, but also I think that it played a very important role, the International Day of Prayer and Awareness Against Human Trafficking every February 8, that we started to celebrate in 2015 under the responsibility of UISG and USG. And Talitha Kum is giving life to this day. No networking without communication. So communication is one of the most important elements of networking. In this period, I was asked to organize data collection from network members in order to maximize communication and the exchange of information, data, and good practices. We were able we have now an internal communication strategic, tactical, and practical plan with the collaboration of Sister Bernadette Reis, a Paulina sister expert in communications, and we have to implement it. Then we have the website since 2011, social media since 2016, and I think that all of you are followers of our Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, Vimeo, YouTube. And then again, the Talitha Kum database since 2018, a first step. We have a long way to go together, but at least we started. The other priority we set in 2016 was to give visibility, to create conditions to give greater visibility to human trafficking, including through analysis, reflection, and the activities of Talitha Kum. Again, the International Day of Prayer was very important. Then the campaign, Nuns Healing Hearts, that was launched by Pope Francis in May 2019, always for the 10th anniversary. The work done to write articles, and I would like to remember also the work done by the Global Sister Report. This year they chose to follow the work of Talitha Kum throughout the world. And then the Donna Chiesamondo is part of the Osservatore Romano. The director was with us also at the opening section, Rita Pinci, and we are working more and more to make visible the work of the sisters. We received 2 awards, Terra Justa in Fefe, Portugal in 2017. It was to Talitha Kum for the work we are doing. And this year, the Trafficking in Person report, Heroes that I received, gave also a huge visibility to the work of the sisters around the world. The other priority was formation, to create courses, workshops, and seminars to promote the qualification of the member of Talitha Kum in the service of leadership. And some of them were mentioned. But I think that is important to say that we were able to do the first training for our leaders, 2018 and to 2019, in partnership with the Pontifical University Antonianum. And we are still working on the second edition, but this time we would like to decentralize. And we are still in touch with the Tangaza College in Kenya, so it will be 50% in Rome and 50% in Kenya, and is always addressed to all the leaders of Talitha Kum throughout the globe. We continue the training that we started in 2004, and we had in Mexico, Kenya, Uganda, Ghana, Cameroon, and and then other workshop in several countries, training workshops. We were asked to participate in research and studies. We have a database, and then we were able to support a research among Malawian traffic to South Africa, a very interesting research done by CTIP. The last priority we developed in this period was the geographical scope, and we were asked as Talitha Kum Rome to give priority to Africa and the Middle East regions where the phenomenon of trafficking is growing, to step up effort in prevention, protection, and assistance to the victim of trafficking. We made a huge work of advocacy with the Association of Major Superiors in Africa. We organized training and workshops supported by the Irish and the UK Embassy to the Holy See, and also by the Conrad Hilton Foundation. Founded by the GHR Foundation, we were able to work in the Middle East and 1 year, and now we have the network, Wells of Hope. We worked also a lot with African members of serving at the General 8 in Rome. It is a work that we have done here, involving them, raising awareness among them. And then when they went back to their own countries, or when they go back for holidays or for serving their congregation, they were able to spread out the idea of Talitha Kum, and they support us a lot also in trying to expand the network of Talitha Kum and to involve religious people in working in this field in sub-Saharan Africa. Resources. The sustainability of the network requires raising awareness within congregation in order to promote the full or part-time commitment of religious into anti-trafficking networks. Support the local networks fundraising to develop and carry on projects. Also here we have done really a big work, and the support of the UISG, the executive board, was very important. And I think that also the idea of the training for leaders was including the training for project management and fundraising, because I think that we have really to empower one each other, decentralizing also the organization of the network. We are on the way. We have a long way to do. And I think that when we accept and we say yes to work in the field of anti-trafficking, we say yes also to become part of this body of Christ wounded. And we say yes also to accept the consequences, often to be marginalized as they are marginalized, to suffer really with them. And I think that sustainability is also, for me, to keep alive hope and to keep alive a different way of life. Our choices is not only a question of resources. It's mostly a question of a different style of life that it starts primarily in ourselves. If not we will die, because Talitha Kum is not an NGO. We are sisters, we are brothers. And this is the most important point. And we know that to make the difference has a cost to be paid. And we have to be really, to strengthen one each other, to be faithful in the yes, when we say yes to this mission. When I was thinking to this, oh my goodness, I said, how many challenges we have for the future. I was listing them. But of course, the leading role of women in collaborative anti-trafficking activities. I think that it is one of the challenges that we have to face and to keep alive. The sustainability, human resources. It is really nice when some general superior come to me and say, sister, we have a sister that would like to join and to work in this field, how we can train them, the sister. So it's also a challenge for us, the formation of the new generation, the involvement of lay people, the laity, and I'm very glad and would like to thank also the ones that are with us. Thank you very much. And then financial resources at not only short, but at medium term to allow us to make really some steps also toward the future. And then how to involve survivors of trafficking in person in our network, and how we can promote ongoing formation, the care of the caregivers, communication and data collection, that I know is boring, is really a boring work that no one wants to do, but how important it is, sisters, how important it is. And then how we can share good and best practices, or how we can develop an impact indicators for prevention. That often we are asked to do that and we say, what does it mean? How we can create indicators for prevention, but we can, but probably we need to do that together. Or how we can implement educational programs. And I was happy to listen to hear yesterday that we are also speaking on transformative approach. The collaboration at extra, outside of our religious lives. And then how we can provide better services for survivors, the long-term assistance, social economical reintegration, creation of a fund for emergency situation. We know that not all people coming back to their own country or that are able to escape trafficking are also in a context where there are governmental funds or NGOs with funds to give money to these people or to support these people. What we could do to them? Oh, I'm sorry, I do not care of you because you were not trafficked to that country, but to that other one. So you came back, not found, no way to care of you. I think that it is not our attitude as Talitha Kum, but how we can support one each other when our networks or the shelter of our sisters are faced or asked to welcome people that without financial resources. And then, of course, advocacy. Together against human trafficking, I think that is, only together really we can face this reality, because this is a very painful situation, is a big problem, really only strengthening and empowering one each other. And then, as I said at the beginning, is not only we as sisters, but all people that directly and indirectly are involved in Talitha Kum. en español. Gabriela.
Sister Gabriela. Just listening, I feel tired. I feel exhausted. Only listening at what you're saying and listening at all the work you have done, I'm exhausted. I don't know, thinking, imagine you who have been doing that. You have an incredible energy and passion out of normal. Probably you're a founder of the Cambodian, have given you passion and energy to struggle against slavery, and I'm sure you're reflecting. It's really incredible. It's not only Sister Gabriela, I think it's all of you together. All those who are not here as well, physically present. Let's take 2 minutes of silence to allow this to interiorize and to allow this to go down deep into ourselves. Not only the information that you have received, but the passion which came with the data, with these pieces of information that you have received.